after Martin Luther King Jr. Community Breakfast here in Amherst. I want to welcome you all here, and Ellen and I are going to share the duties of being Master and Mistress of Ceremonies, and we will begin with official greeting from Amherst Regional High School student Connor Patrick Bowen. Please come forward.
Good morning and welcome to the 34th Martin Luther King Community Breakfast. Thank you for being here to celebrate the life of an amazing civil rights leader. I'd personally like to greet Wami Jean Moss. Miss Moss is an amazing storyteller, and I, for one, cannot wait to hear what she has to say. Welcome. I would like to welcome our MC for this morning, Ellen Story. Miss Story has been an incredible leader in the Amherst community. Thank you for your leadership. Lastly, I would like to welcome and congratulate the winners of the 2018 recipients of the Martin Luther King Award. Thank you.
Very good, and now I invite everyone to stand and join Ellen as she leads us in Lift Every Voice and Sing. So now we have a musical selection looking for the Fort River Elementary School Chorus. And their director is Heather Krasner. Let's welcome the Fort River Elementary School Chorus.
And then just in our sixth grade is about 40, 45, and then of course we have my brave 13 here holding down the fort. So, and sing along with us because we have a really good time singing it, so I hope that you will too. You ready?
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those other needs that you won't let show. Just call on brother when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. It's like that problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on brother when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. It's like that problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share the load if you can call me. Call me, need a friend. Call me, need a friend. Call me, call me, call me.
Thank you, that was wonderful. One more round of applause. Okay, let's take a couple of minutes here and recognize some folks who deserve some recognition this morning. First, could we have all the members of the MLK Junior Breakfast Committee please rise and be recognized for your extraordinary effort to bring us together year after year after year. Please rise. Saw a very small handful of dedicated, hard-working people. They need help. Please think about joining the committee and adding your efforts to make the workload a little easier on the rest of the members of the committee. Many hands make light work, few hands, it's really, really challenging to bring hundreds of people together for a breakfast and for a program. So please, think about joining the committee. All of those who want to join the committee, please applaud right now. Okay, don't forget that you applauded. And make sure you contact one of the people who stood, because they're already on the committee and they could use your support and help. And now let's ask all of the members of town government, the town manager, the select board, school committee, if you're appointed, you're elected, if you serve on a board in this community, in our town government, please rise and be thanked and recognized for your service. I saw former Congressman John Over in the audience at breakfast. I hope you're here. John, please rise and be recognized. And I saw our district attorney, Dave Sullivan, one of the most progressive district attorneys in the history of the Commonwealth, and certainly right now, and he has an amazing backbone and courage. He is the leader among the district attorneys for progressive criminal justice reform in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Let's welcome and thank our district attorney, Dave Sullivan. Now, anyone in this audience who has taught, who has administered, who still teaches and administers in any part of education from pre-K through lifelong learning, please rise and be recognized. You are the backbone of America. The only service in government that is written into the Massachusetts Constitution, which was the first Constitution drafted in the United States of America, which is the Constitution upon which our federal Constitution is based, and upon which the constitutions of emerging democracies all over the world is based. In that Massachusetts Constitution, dating back to the earliest days of the founding of this country, they said we must cherish and nurture education and learning. Because you cannot be a self-governing people, and you cannot have a fair and equitable economy if you don't have a well-educated population. So again, thank you to everyone who's committed themselves to work in education. I think I've exhausted all of the groups that I can think of that I should ask be recognized. But just in case I forgot anyone, please put your hands together for everybody else in the auditorium. And now we're going to hear some wonderful music from the Amherst Area Gospel Choir, directed by Jacqueline Wallace. Please come forward.
Terrorists, turn me round.
Never said I wouldn't fall. Never said that everything would go the way I wanted to go.
But when my back is against the wall and I feel all hope is gone, I'll just lift my head up to the sky and say, help me to be strong. Oh, I just can't give up now. I'm too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. No one ever told me, even when I can't see it. I know that you are with me, so I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Give up now. I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Can't give up now.
I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Can't give up now.
I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Can't give up now.
I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Now, we have a sing along too. Thank you so much. Thank you. Amherst Area Gospel Choir is so happy to be here to celebrate Martin Luther King. And we are wearing our jeans today because Honor Woman told me something about it. Maybe she will tell you about it too later on. But we're wearing our jeans today. So we're going to sing, actually we're going to join Aretha Franklin as she sings Young, Gifted, and Black. Yeah, so you all can sing with us. You may know this.
That was wonderful. One more round of applause for our friends at Amherst. Okay, and in just a moment, we're going to have our featured speaker, and Ellen is going to take over emceeing from this portion of the program forward. But I have two things to do. First, this beautifully colored phone was found. That'll be $5, please. Finder's fee, and it'll go into the scholarship fund. Okay, very good. So the other thing that I'd like to do as part of my portion of the program is to invite everyone, if you're able to stand, and take a moment to reflect on, and by calling out the names of those drum majors for justice who have lived and worked among us but are no longer here, to recognize and remember them and thank them for the work that they did in their lifetimes, and to be inspired by that as we continue that work every day to make this a just society. So please call out the names of people who are dear to you and to this community.
Mary Pittman Wyatt.
Norman Green.
Bob Ackerman.
Horace Boyd.
Amen.
Julius Ford.
Yes.
Nat Rutzstein.
Bridget Davis. John Bear. Mary Jane Budd.
Patty O'Neill.
Irving Howards.
Isaac Van Ezra. Barbara Sutherland.
Woody Johnston.
Richard Yard. Fred Tillis.
Let's hold in our hearts and our minds those who were named and those who were not named for all that they did in their lifetimes to make this a better world. And let's resolve that we'll commit ourselves to equal or exceed their contributions. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, everyone. And isn't it nice to have Stan Rosenberg back? You're always welcome here. Well, we are in for a treat now. So far, this has been so nice, don't you think? So relaxed. And when Jackie Wallace's choir was singing, I had tears just screaming. That was really, really powerful. Well, Onawumi Jean Moss is from Tennessee. And we are so lucky that she landed and stayed in Amherst, Massachusetts. For a long time, she was the full-time Associate Dean of Students at Amherst College. So that's how she spent her 9 to 5s and more. But while she was doing that, she was also telling stories and getting so good at it that she got major awards. All of this is in our booklet, so you can read all about her. She got the Zora Neale Hurston Storytelling Award in 2005, which is the highest award given by the National Association of Black Storytellers. She performed at Barack Obama's inauguration. At his inauguration, she was one of 2 storytellers for that event at the Smithsonian. She made a PBS Kwanzaa special. She does workshops, tells stories, fascinates and satisfies and inspires people wherever she goes. And we are fortunate enough to have her here with us this morning.
I'm really showing off now because I really don't know anything about technology, but I know how to turn this on. And so I'm going to do that. But let me tell you where are the babies that sing flashlights? Oh, yeah. Look. Did you hear them singing flashlights? And then did they turn around and sing Lean on Me? Did you do it? I want you to know you did it. Now, I am going to play Harry Belafonte singing really intelligent about this matchup. I can read all the symbols. Oh no, now you. Oh, he's cute. Oh, and I need to. My mic's not on. That's a good point. Just don't turn it on. Because I don't know how to do that.
What? Oh! Okay, it's on. Okay, now let's see. Well, I said I didn't know, and now I'm showing myself I don't know. I had it keyed up. I can't do this. But anyway, he would have sung. He would have sung. We come from the mountain, living in the mountain. Go back to the mountain and the world around. We come from the river, living in the river. Go back to the river, turn the world around. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. Now, we have here a situation in which I am in the basement of the Ebenezer Baptist Church, 1968. And the reason I'm there is because it's the 39th birthday of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So we're down in the basement of the Ebenezer Baptist Church. Ebenezer. And see, black folks repeat after each other. I say Ebenezer, somebody will go say Ebenezer Baptist. Yes, they're going to say it. And so, the reason we're in the basement of the Ebenezer Baptist Church on the 39th birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King is because he is working with a rainbow coalition of people who have come to help him put together the Poor People's Campaign. That's why we're there. And what is said in my vernacular, what had happened was, Dr. King had come to understand over years, from his 26th birthday, that's when the 381-day bus boycott took place. 381 days. He was 26 years old and said at one point in one of his interviews, I have to deal with the slave in me in order to do this task. He did not know he was tempted until he took on this task. I'm talking to you about this because that's what we are like. We don't know how much courage we have until we are put to the task of figuring out how much courage we need. And the lesson doesn't come in a magical formula. It comes gradually. Little by little, we access that courage. Sometimes we take a step back and we have to talk ourselves through prayer to get back to what we started out to do. So I am in, where am I? Where? In the Ebenezer Baptist in the basement. We could say that if we wanted to stretch a metaphor, which I'm inclined to do, we could stretch this metaphor and say that we're at the manger. We're in a humble place. We're not on a top floor of a fine building, looking out over all the, we could do that, but we're in a humble place with a man who is wearing denim, blue jeans, and a winter coat, just plain winter coat to keep him warm, who doesn't even realize it's his birthday. So around about this time of day, here comes Mr. Rona Clayton. Sister Clayton should be known as in the Ebenezer Baptist Church. Sister Clayton came in carrying a cake. Sister Clayton said, Reverend, excuse me, Reverend, it's your birthday. And he is looking at her and looking at his rainbow coalition from all over. He's got people who are Latina there. He's got a woman there who is working for welfare rights. He's got a group there from a school that he has gone to. It's little known, but it's a learning institute where he has gone to learn and to speak. He has all of his coalition is there gathered to put this together. She comes with a cake. He tries to die, but you can't die on a church woman. We don't let you. We just tell everybody else to understand what's going on. See, it was the church woman that got me up when y'all was singing, lift every voice and sing like you didn't know what you were singing. So the church woman gets up and goes to a servant of the people, Ellen, and says, hit it hard, Ellen. She said, I was waiting for that to, I said, no, build it now. We got to go now. Because me in the Ebenezer Baptist Church, nobody know it but me, but that's where we are, in the Ebenezer Baptist Church, in the basement. And when I did it, you all lifted, because our energy will feed each other. If you bring no energy to this, nothing as much is going to happen. I've got 20 minutes. I've used up 5 just talking to you. I'm still going to tell you the story, the rest of the story. But you got to know where you are. Such as in storytelling is, what is your setting? So that's where we are. My babies got up. They didn't even know that they were my babies and sang Flashlight. And one of the quotes in your program says that darkness cannot get rid of darkness, only light can. They got up and sang Flashlight. All right. Then another quote in there, in here, talks about us needing somebody else, and they said, lean on me. Yeah. And then, but before then, I got mentioned in the welcome by one of the most handsome young people in this building. Where is he? Did he leave? No, he went to the bathroom. See, he'll be cool in absentia. So, but you know, and he said, I'm just waiting to hear what she has to say, so I can't say nothing until he get back. That's because we're in the Ebenezer. See, if I was in another kind of setting, I'd have to do this. But I never do that, because that's not me. I was born and raised in Jackson, Tennessee. I was born in 1936. My mother was born in 1899. I don't know when my father was born, but he was 8 years older than her. He was born in Vallejo, Mississippi, 1899. In 1790, the Naturalization Act was created to naturalize white people to become citizens of the United States. And it was mentioned in that they were the only ones to be naturalized. It took a while for the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to be created. I think it's the 14th Amendment that said something about us being citizens of this country. And in 1875, that was shot down. And we became second-class citizens. Ain't nobody shot since then except Dr. Martin Luther King. We were never given rights in the Constitution, only amended to the Constitution. We were never given citizen rights in this country. never happened. So when to create a program about a warrior who lived his life in such a way that he was destined to become a living sacrifice, to have a program that ignores that fact and leaps from who marched across that path that with tears have been watered, that path with the blood of the slaughtered, to skip that and go to diversity is to mislead people into our history. We cannot do that. We cannot leap that way, because then we do just exactly what was done. That we revise history and we make it look very simple. We are going to get to the point where we will live together. One of the other quotes on the very top, let me have yours. One of the very quotes on the very top line. I lost my glasses en route here from Los Angeles last week. We have, look here on page, they didn't number the page, but just turn in your program. This program is education. It's education. So, oh, that's me. Pass that. And then go to the page where the program is laid out, but then look on the back of the page at the top and let us read that part together. Right up here. Right up here. You back, I can talk. I want you to read it full-throated. Full-throated. If you came to hear me and you thought I was the only one going to be talking, no. This is an African exchange. That was another thing we were brilliant at. We didn't just have somebody talking. They talk oral literature. You talk, orature, you talk, but you call for a response to be sure everybody was awake when you said what you said. Here we go, you ready? Yeah. We have a great world house in which we have to live together, black and white, Easterner and Westerner, Gentile, Jew, Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, and Hindu, a family unduly separated in ideas, culture, and interests, who, because we can never again work apart, must learn somehow to live with each other in peace. Let the church say amen. Amen. Yes. So we must then pay attention to how are we going to get to that last part, because we can never again live apart. I don't care who is tweeting stupid stuff, and I had to work to get stuff out. Stupid stuff. I don't care who's tweeting stupid stuff, because they want to reprogram the right way of thinking. What Dr. King has said back in 1964, when he was in the process of receiving his Pulitzer Prize. I'm sorry, Nobel Peace Prize. He said, in the ultimate, we must do this, because we are a family unduly separated in ideas, cultures, and interests, who, because we can never again live apart, must learn somehow to live with each other in peace. And that is the peace, that's the road we're on now. We're on the somehow road. We're on the somehow road. We're on the somehow road. And the paths to the somehow road are the paths of learning. Learning from one another. Learning with one another. Learning about one another. Learning what we love and what we, Lord, why did I have to be put through this in order to get to live with these people? because that's the way it is. We are now on the somehow road. But we keep wanting it to be magical. And so we fall out of love with each other in an instant. I just was in California with my daughter for 1 month. I love this child. She is so sweet. That's what it means to be young, gifted, and black. And so, on the Somehow Road, I was on the Somehow Road in Los Angeles up until a week ago. And I'm in my daughter's house. And my granddaughter is 19 years old. She's a sophomore at Howard University. And we're all absolutely over the moon about how wonderful she is. Well, she's just wonderful. But me and my daughter, well, we are wonderful if we don't stay together too long. We're just wonderful, and then it's like watching organic food that's been sitting out too long. It don't smell good, it don't look good, and you wonder why did they call it organic? So, in the course of being with her over a month's period, I would have to pray a lot, so I went to the bathroom a lot because that's where I could get to. So when you talk about your prayer closet, I was multitasking. So I was in the prayer closet, and I'm there, and I'm saying, oh, Lord, help me. Jesus. Help me, Lord, help me, Lord, help me, Lord. One day I actually walked out onto the balcony. She got that kind of house. And I walked out there, and I said, Father, I know this is funny. It's funny to me. I'm serious, but it's also serious. I said, Father, I'm not the nicest person in the world. I'm not the most patient person in the world. And I know I'm being redundant because I know you know this. But Father, I want to be in this relationship with my daughter in as much peace as we can possibly manage. Please help me. Please guide me so that I will be able to be here without causing much distress. I didn't say no distress. Just by way of transparency and clarity. But I said much distress. I came on back in the house. Because we can never again live apart. We must learn how to live with each other in peace. As I was crossing the threshold, my mind gave me this: you and your daughter are now the Bickersons. And it was very peaceful. I thought that's what we do. We bicker all the time. Bicker, 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 bicker. Bicker, bicker, bicker. Now where are we going back? Oh, okay, I'll be ready. When? Okay, I'll be ready. And she walks off saying over her shoulder, I love you, Mom. We must learn to bicker and walk away, but not in anger, not in hate, not in fear, but walk away in hopes of those steps will reduce our fear, reduce our disappointment in one another, and in taking the step, just think, I'm glad to be here. Because if we're not here together, another quote in here says we will die together, like food. Every time you hear someone on television, I listen because I have to, because I'm a storyteller and I have to know what people are doing. And when I hear them sitting in panels, wondering what the quandary is about the tweens, but what represents Representative Stanley Rosenberg just told us is that here in Massachusetts, we are mentioned in the oldest constitution in the country, and that education is particularly mentioned as something we must preserve.
Yes.
But that's not being done all over the country. Dr. King had worked on us being able to vote. Dr. King had worked on us being able to have voice. And as much as he worked, people were sitting in rooms thinking about reversals. Those reversals have taken place. The reversal that took place in 1875 to take us away from being first-class citizens, or at least on the path, that reversal was followed by a reversal that took place on June 26, 2013, when the Supreme Court struck down the strongest part of the Voting Act. We cannot be on the road and fall asleep. We cannot take big vacations from the road without telling somebody why we left and asking them to hold it down until we can get back and give them a break. I didn't know this is what I came to say this morning. I didn't know that. But when I heard us, and I listened to us, and I walked back there, and I listened back there, and listened, I know that we haven't read even just what's in this. We have to. There's a quote in here that I particularly love, because Dr. King did not soft pedal with black folks. Black folks couldn't stand Dr. King. Oh, come on, especially them in the pulpit. Come on, folks. Let's get busy here. They couldn't stand him, because he talked about it. He laid it out for him. He didn't play with him. Here's something he might have said one time directly to him, but he sort of said it. Courage is an inner resolution to go forward despite obstacles. Cowardice is submissive. Cowardice surrenders to circumstances. Courage breeds creativity. Cowardice represses fear and is mastered by it. Cowardice makes the question, is it safe? Expedience asks the question, is it polite? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? Is it right? Is it right? Is it right? Is it right for us to sing together, young, gifted, and black, when black folks have been made to be ashamed of their own narrative when we didn't create it? History created our narrative. History created our complaints. History shows that we were stolen from civilization and brought into incivilization. History shows that we had deities. History shows that we bowed down not only to those deities that were far away, but to the deity that was within us. History shows that we had poetry. We created it standing on our feet. History shows that we were civilized. And we got here, and we took stock. Those of us who decided not to commit suicide, or were too fearful to commit suicide, and submitted to the fear, and became slaves, submitting to the fear. But we didn't stay there. There were uprisings that said, you cannot enslave me. There were songs that said, and we created them on the spot, can't no grave hold this body down. Not even the living grave of slavery. So we didn't create our narrative. We had to create a narrative to refute the one that was made about us. If you notice, when the tweets come out from the capital of the land, The person who is tweeting always denigrates the person being tweeted about. Crooked, sloppy, always. So that the Igbo became nigger. Told to them by the ones that insisted on subjugating them. The Ga became nigger. The Yoruba became nigger. The Akan became nigger. But I want to take a moment just to say that the Akan, I don't mess with it. When the British were busy being British, busy being British. Lord have mercy. See, I don't have to wait to be made a princess.
Well,
I was born royal. I don't have to wait. My children don't have to wait. I am royal by reason of being born a child of God. I was royal before that by reason of being a subject of Ola de Marie. But the Akan, who had the sacred stool, a British officer set his hiney on it. Yes, he did. Oh, he should have asked somebody. I don't know where they buried him, but they buried him. You do not let folks come in and name you whatever they want to name you. I don't care who you are. If you are a woman who is covered, you don't let anybody name you. If you are a man who is in partnership with that covered woman and another woman can't touch you, you don't let nobody name you. It's wherever you come from. If you came from Ireland, if you came from Italy, and you were called dirty, I was called dirty before because I was named before you came from your country to here. And so mention me that I am your sister, who was named dirty, but knew better. And then don't join alliances with the ones who both named you and me and form an alliance against me. So, I'm going to get ready to close up here and tell you that I'm working on a story about a woman called Mama Nem. She is a composite of all the strong black women and vulnerable black women I have ever known, including myself. Mama Nem is part Mary Custard and part Liz Skelton and part Coogee and part Sister Brown back there and part this beautiful sister who is directing Jackie Wallace. Mama Nem is all of these women. Mama Nem is this beautiful two women sitting right here. She is a sensitive woman. She cares what people think about her. But Mama Nem had a dilemma, and she was trying to work it out because it was a very, very sketchy dilemma. Within the black community that she was a part of, she was excoriated for even talking about it. She was a church woman. She had helped her husband build a business. His name was Eli. Eli was so fine. I said Eli was so fine. Oh, Jesus. Eli was chocolate brown. Yes, sir. Mama Nem had a little caramel in her. Her family had come from behind the cotton curtain back in 1919. So she had heard the stories about how it took them 10 years to get up north where she now lives, in the urban center. Mama Nem was 5'2" to Eli's 6'2". He was a tower for her. But something happened in the family, and their daughter, their only child, was severely brutalized. A child was born of that brutalization. Mom Nim was mad at her daughter. Eli loved his daughter, and he did all he could to try and rectify what had happened to him. But every time he went downtown, where they had often gone because they were actors, he had a setback. How many black men here have had a setback? Come on, show it up. No, raise it up. Let it be seen. We out here in this territory. We out here in this territory where we don't see much ugly. We don't see much ugly. It's tucked away somewhere. But it's here. So Eli tried, and after a few years, his health started to fail. And Eli couldn't bring himself back. The family, and it was a big family, they knew that it was because his manhood had been attacked. And he didn't have a way to respond that wasn't going to be violent. He wasn't a violent man. His daughter let him know that she didn't hold him accountable, but he couldn't take it. He had worked hard all his life. He built that barbershop, and his barbershop that all the chairs were commanded by family members. He built a beauty shop annexed to it for his wife. And it was a good thing she did, he did, because Mom Nim had a way when she got upset, all the natural curls in her hair would just go flat. She couldn't stand it. She was glad she owned the beauty bar because she was there to see it all. But this time, it was around this time of year she left the house and left the house filled with her neighbors. She was going to write a paper for her final semester, a second semester, to set it off. And her daughter had come home and she left. And Mom Nim wondered where she was going, and somebody whispered and told her where she was going. Mom Nim was listening to her neighbors share their stories. They were sharing their stories. Each one had brought something precious from their own culture and was telling why the object was precious to them and what it took them back to. And the stories were beautiful. But she couldn't get it out of their head. She and her daughter were the Bickersons, and they just couldn't. And finally, one of her friends and her sister said, "Why don't you come on and let us finish this up? We got it recorded, and you go on so that you can join Nia." As she walked up to the community center and opened the door, there sat her daughter in a wheelchair, sitting there under the biggest P flag she had ever seen. And standing by her side was her friend Brenda, whose name was once Brenda. And when Mom and them walked in the door, everybody stood and applauded because her daughter said, "That's my mom. That's the woman who helped me to get to where I am now, in knowing myself, to be young, gifted, and black, with your soul intact." Mom and them couldn't walk down the aisle. They had to come get her because she was so stunned. And she sat there and listened to her daughter, understanding that her daughter was announcing her true self, and that the young man standing beside her was announcing his true self. When the speech was over, everybody melted into one another in hugs and laughter and peacefulness. She had one more trip to make after that. And when she got into the van with the family, they knew where to take her. Standing by his tombstone, she told Eli what she'd done and gave thanks to him for his patience with her when she could do no better. And pledged to him and to the God that made her that any bigotry left inside of herself, she would go and find it and no longer be a host to it. When she came home, she stepped out of the car, and there stood Alejandro, one of her new neighbors, in the gentrified community she now lived in. And he assured her, because she started looking and backing up, because Zydeco was his dog. And she couldn't stand dogs because of the story she had heard from behind the cotton curtain. She couldn't stand dogs, so she was looking, and he said, "That's all right." She went inside. The porch was clear now, the back porch that stretched the full length of the house. And she sat on that porch. And she thought about the day. And she thought about all she had been doing and gave thanks. That she was on the somehow road. On the somehow road. On her way to live better with anybody she could come in touch with. And to help them feel better about themselves. We come from the Spirit. Only in the Spirit can we turn the world around. Sing it to me. We come from the Spirit. Only in the Spirit can we turn the world around. Stand up. We come from the Spirit. Come on, choir. Only in the Spirit. Join the choir. Turn the world around. We come I know that you went to UMass to a graduate class for teachers in training. And when you left, if you had microphones, you would have had to drop the mics. I want everybody to say to Poku, we will stay woke. We will stay woke. All right. Now stay here, Poku, because I got somebody else to come up here. The next somebody, anybody from the Buddies Club at Amherst Regional here. Anybody from Buddies? Best Buddies. Best Buddies. Best Buddies. Stand fair. All right, come on up. Now, don't get here. Stand in front of her. See that beautiful child right there? Stand in front of her. Best buddies get together to make sure that the shyest children, the children who would be isolated otherwise, would not have friends, so they make sure that they do. All right? I'm going to find my notes sometime next week. I'll write it down. But then, Women's Rights Club, who is here? Come on, baby. Women's Rights Club. Let me tell you what they did. If we were in high school, they have an exhibit up right now called the Me Too exhibit. All right. And they have brought in speakers. Okay, good. They brought in speakers to educate not only the women, but the men and other people in this school. Lord Jesus, I'm excited. So, I don't play this. I'm telling you the truth. So, the next one, there's another group. MSAN, scholars. And they're already here. Is MSAN back there? MSAN? Come on now. Boy, if you don't get up here, you better get your hips in up here. What is your problem? Excuse me? Come on, stand right here. Yeah, now they're pretty and you pretty. That's what we do. This is the Rainbow Coalition of the 21st century. Yeah. Do it this way. You are young, gifted, black, white, Asian, Hindu, whatever your background, you are young and gifted by the grace of God. Yeah. Whatever it is. But when you do go to advocate for your cause, and you must go to advocate for your cause, know that you are not alone. And mention to folks, I am not alone. I have legions with me. We are fiercely made. We are amazing. And we are God blessed. Who was one of Dr. King's greatest advisors. We will end this with, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. Well. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until. Now I'm going to change the words because I'm like that. We it come. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until we make it come. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. No, no. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until we make it come. God bless you. Of the man whose name brings me to tears because I want to be more like him.
That was wonderful. That was refreshing. That was a blessing. Yes, a louder round of applause. Louder round of applause. Thank you. So now we come to one other major part of this program, which is our scholars. So every year, there is an application sent to all the high schools. What we want are students among us who not only are focused on academic excellence, but put their focus on serving the community. Now the thing is, the students cannot come in by themselves and do an application. They must be nominated. They must have been recognized by someone in their school. So those who come in, the candidates, are really the cream. We have 3 winners for this year's Martin Luther King Scholarship Award. And I'm going to call them in here one by one. You will hear from them some of the reasons why they come here as winners. So when I invite them, they'll come up here and give a little address. I call it little. I know it's more important than little. Now, it is no coincidence to our winners. It is no coincidence that you are getting this award on the day that Mama Onawumi is with us here. And so when you come and you're done, find Mama Onawumi. Whether it's a hug or a handshake, take a blessing from her. First person I'd like to call is Kiara Hardnet Barnes.
These opportunities have taught me the value of dialogue and communication, but more importantly, the necessity of bravery in all my endeavors. Because I am a Black female, because I thrive in my education, and because I will not be silent, there will always be obstacles to disrupt my path to success, whether in high school, college, or beyond. While it is okay to be afraid, it is never, ever okay to let that fear take your power.
All right.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase."
All right.
And now, in light of the many disturbing events of 2017, it is more true than ever. As I proceed into the 2018-19 school year as a freshman in college, I will take my first step by continuing to design programs to encourage unity within the Black community. And most importantly, I will build my own staircase. Thank you.
By the way, Kiara is at Amherst Regional High School. I'd like to call once again from Amherst Regional High School, Sahar Douglas.
Good morning. First, I want to thank Ms. Custer today for nominating me for this scholarship.
All right.
And for recognizing my work in leadership and social justice in our community. I also want to thank my mom and my grandma for always supporting me. And of course, a big thank you to the Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast Committee. In my application essay, I recognized some of my family members. I come from a long history of strong female leaders.
All right.
My great-grandmother, Dr. Norma Jean Anderson, and grandmother, Kathleen Anderson. They are two women who have impacted my life as exemplary leaders in the community. My great-grandmother, Norma Jean, showed qualities of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in education, social justice, and leadership. And my grandmother, Kathleen, has and still shows qualities in education, service, leadership, and social justice. Both women have and continue to inspire me to follow in their footsteps, to be a leader and service my community.
Again, from Amherst Regional High School, Aviva Wainbo.
This past summer, I joined the organizing team at the Pioneer Valley Worker Center. On my second day at work, I found myself on the sidewalk in front of Northampton City Hall carrying a sign proclaiming, "Bring Niebaird home." Hundreds of people congregated, and I asked them all to sign a petition demanding the release of Niebaird Abdallah, an Iraqi immigrant who had lived in Massachusetts for 41 years and had just been detained by ICE. I listened as his partner, his doctor, and his friends approached the microphone and told loving stories, and between speakers, I joined wholeheartedly in chants and solidarity songs. By fighting for Niebaird's release, the Worker Center was setting a precedent for thousands of immigrants and repairing a broken system. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, and tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals." I experienced this struggle at the Worker Center, and I will continue to use my privilege to educate my community and fight for social justice.
Right now.
Thank you so much to the committee for this honor, and thank you to Ms. Iverson for nominating me for the scholarship, and congratulations to the other scholarship recipients.
So we want to express our appreciation to all the teachers and all the administrators who wrote good, strong recommendation letters for all these candidates. Congratulations. Now this here is an award that is given by RADA, that is Race and Discipline Action Rights. It is the Dr. Norma Jean Anderson Civil Rights and Academic Achievement Award. The recipient of the award teaches dance classes and ensembles and promotes an inclusive community and individual voice. Her classes promote an inclusive community. The nominator for this person is Abigail Dalman, and she says, "My son has participated in the dance program during his time at the high school, and he has noted several times that these classes are more diverse than any he takes at the overall school. He gets the opportunity to interact with different ages, with children who are English second or third or fourth language students, and with children across the academic spectrum of the larger school. In his experience, this is rare and amazing. Our recipient regularly devotes a class period to quote-unquote breaking bread, where students share food and share their ideas. In other words, she carefully directs focuses on building community. And then she meets students where they are and values their contribution. It is with pleasure that RADA gives Tracy Vernon the 2018
with open hearts and open minds. And I am grateful to be a part of this rainbow village. I grew up a Jersey girl, and my first hero was on a black and white TV, and that was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I found myself at 17 begging my parents to not go to college, but to go study full-time in New York City with my dance mentor, Alvin Ailey, and the American Dance Theater. And he taught me how to facilitate community of all kinds of dancers with all kinds of experience, because we were joined through love. So I'm grateful to be in my 16th year of teaching dance at Amherst Regional High School. And also breaking into this school this year to teach 7th graders dance. And you know, last night we had this beautiful concert with children from 13 to 18 dancing together on the stage at the high school, and it felt like love. And I think that's exactly what we need right now, is generate more and more love. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the subject you teach, the core curriculum is love. Thank you so much for honoring me.
thank you, everybody who participated in this kind of program, for making our community proud, and for giving us the hope that this good thing will continue. Thank you very much.
Then Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God, and all the people answered, Amen and Amen, while lifting up their hands. Then they bowed low and worshiped the Lord with their faces to the ground. Nehemiah 8:6. Let the church say Amen. God has spoken, so let the church say Amen.
Sing right, sing, sing. Yeah, yeah.
Let the church say Amen. Let the church say Amen. God has spoken, so let the church say Amen.
Bible reading today. And I know that anything more to say might be unnecessary because we have enough. But since Richmond put me into the benediction, so I have to say something. But by the way, I don't quit. I don't have to tell you that what kind of world we live in now, but let us remind of ourselves. Courage is not to be had without fear. Victory is not to be had without challenges. Strength is not to be had without obstacles. So adversity is the turning point for hope or despair. We can go up or down. So this is a time to be mindful. May God bless all of us to be strong in faith, steadfast in service, and patient in hope. Amen.